Yo, what's up, world? It's your boy Jim Longfoot, aka the GOAT, King of America. Sorry I dropped in on y'all like that, but I had to make a quick run. You know what I'm saying? Just got through shaving. You know what I'm saying? If you want to see that video, it's on my channel. Anywho, welcome to this video right here. It's basically about how to make a comic book, how to create a comic book. If you basically have zero budget, um, this video is for you. If you're your own comic book creator, if you're a writer, if you're the artist, if you're the letterer, you're the inker, you're the colorist, you're everything on a comic book, this video is for you. I would like to use this as an example. This book right here is 1001, which was created by Adam McCullough. He created this book and wrote the book. I did the artwork inside. I did the art, the pencils, the inks, the colors, the lettering, and the editing of the book. It came out great. If you want to get a book commissioned by yours truly, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not actually doing commissions right now at this moment because I'm trying to get my own projects out the way real quick. But I wanted to shout this book out because it was definitely a challenge to do this book because this was the first book that I did the majority of things on since I was a lot younger. So shout outs to those at Infinite Access Comics, and 1001. I'm gonna break it down to you guys like this as far as everything. I know y'all like.
First of all, who are you?
You know, it's not like I'm one of the founders of Image or a Marvel artist or a DC artist or anything like that. I'm an indie artist, and I'm proud to say that. So, my name is Nervy Unks Henry. On this channel, you can call me by my pseudonym, which is Slim Jim Longfoot, aka the GOAT, King of America. I've been drawing practically forever. As long as I've been able to pick up a pencil, I've been drawing. So it's been a long time. Because I'm old. But anyway, um, this book right here is the first book that came out with my independent company, which is called Urban God Inc. Studios. At the time, it was called Urban God Inc. Comics or UGI Comics. Now it's UGI Studios or Urban God Inc. Studios. This was the first book that was produced by UGI Studios, The Adventures of Pimp Hand Strong. It was written and created by Corley Manning and drawn by myself. He did the coloring on the book as well. So Pimp Hand Strong was definitely a challenge. I wouldn't even say it was a challenge because with this book right here, for instance, I will break down how we made it and how you can make your own book as well. And so you got that one. You got this awesome book right here called The Force. This is The Force issue #1. It was written and created by Corley Manning as well. Drawn by artist Jimmy King, who is out in Nigeria. Shout out to Jimmy King from Nigeria. And it was colored by Corley Manning and myself. We also tag teamed on the responsibilities of lettering the book, editing the book, and I did the majority of as far as putting the book together as far as the panel work. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll get back into that in a minute. So I'm gonna show y'all how we got down with that one as well. And this right here is the Jelly Bean Dream Anthology. The Jelly Bean Dream Anthology is also from UGI Studios. So is The Force, by the way. The Force is from UGI Studios as well. Jelly Bean Dream Anthology is a collection of different artists showcasing their talents on the character Jelly Bean Turner, who is the protagonist of Jelly Bean Dream, created by myself. This was definitely a task to do, and I appreciate every artist involved in this book right here. It's an 80-page anthology, mostly considering comprised of art and also a 6-page story inside from myself, and first four layout pages of Jelly Bean Dream issue #1, which is still at this point coming soon. And last but not least, I will be showing you guys pages from my book Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher is a crossover book that was the story concept was created by myself, the creator of Jelly Bean Dream, and Alex Fernandez, who is the creator of Body Jumpers. This is a crossover book between the main characters from both Jelly Bean Dream as well as Body Jumpers. At the time, the main character was Shiara, who was played on the web series by Trisha. Shout out to Trisha Lee San. She was the actress who played Shiara on the show, and I'll be showing y'all pages from that. Actually, you can see the pages from that as I was inking it on episode 1 of my art series here on this channel, GOAT 1408 TV. We about to make it do what it do, all right? So let's get to it. So first thing you gotta have, I know y'all like, what is this? You know, it's my folder. I keep art in it, you know. Like, basically when it comes to working on a comic book, you know, if you're doing it on a professional level, I mean,
there is no one way to make a comic book.
So let that be clear to all of you out there who want to make a comic book. There is no one way to create a comic book. You can do it all traditional. You can do it all digital. You can paint your comic book. You can draw it on a wall, whichever way you want to do it. Like if you want to draw your pages on the wall, if you got a place, you want to draw all your pages on the wall, take a picture of it, then print it out, boom, there you go. You know, whichever way you want to do it. If you want to do it on parchment paper, I mean, whatever way you want to do your comic book. You want to just pencil it all out, no inks, no words, just all pencils, and you know, there you go. So with that being clear, you got to think about the comic book as this type of medium. This medium, the comic book, sequential art, is amazing. It's exhilarating. You know, the late great Stan Lee, you know, who everybody knows was, you know, one of the biggest influencers and biggest figures in comic book history, who created so many characters for Marvel Comics. You know, he was the writer and co-creator of many characters that comprise the Marvel Universe as we know it today. You know, dating back over 60 years. Next year, of course, will be 60 years since the first issue of Fantastic Four back in November of 1961, which, you know, comprised of Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. And, you know, there from that point forth, you know, a whole universe was created from the Avengers, the X-Men, Iron Man, the Hulk, Daredevil, you know, just all those characters from that point. And of course you have, of course, DC Comics, which was formed in the 30s, where we have the iconic heroes such as, you know, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, all of those guys. Oh, forgive me, I forgot to mention that guy right there when it comes to Marvel. Y'all know he's still the poster boy for Marvel, Peter Parker himself, aka Spider-Man. So, with that being said, comic books have come a long way since the early days of the Big Two, and even more so in the past almost 30 years since the formation of the number 3 of the Big Three, which is Image Comics, which comprised of 7 of the industry's top artists at the time. Jim, Todd, Eric, Weiss, Jim Valentino, Mark Silvestri, and Rob Liefeld. Yeah, those 7. You know, those 7 guys, you know, they helped change the game when it comes to independent comic books. You know, having creation of your characters. The first thing you have to be able to do when it comes to how to create a comic book is you got to have a story. You got to have a character. You got to have something. So, shout outs to Dr. Fu. Dr. Fu just posted a photo on Instagram. You know, I just got a notification of Fu Richardson. She is the artist behind Genius, which is on my wall back there, which came out about almost 5 years ago over 5 years ago now, back in 2014 from Image Comics. So shout outs to Dr. Fu, aka Fu Richardson. When it comes to creating a comic book, how to create a comic book, you gotta have a character first. You gotta have an idea. You have to have a story. So if you are the writer of your universe, if you are the writer of your universe, you have to have a story. You have to have a character. Um, of course, at this point, there are so many characters that derive from other characters. Like everybody has a Superman, everybody has a Batman, everybody has a Wonder Woman, everybody has maybe even a Spider-Man type character or even an Iron Man type character. Which, of course, before the movies, if you wasn't into comic books, nobody knew Iron Man. But because of the MCU movies, Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal, made Iron Man at this point legendary. He's an icon now. But before 2008, if you weren't into comic books, nobody knew Iron Man. If anything, they would have thought he was a robot or a guy who ironed, a guy who had an iron. But you have to have a story. You have to have a story. You have to have an idea. And so once you create your universe, from that point, a simple execution point. Basically, what are you going to tell in your first story? What are you going to tell in your first issue? Like, if you're doing a comic strip, but we're not talking about comic strips, we're talking about a comic book. When you're doing a comic book, you want to come out with that first story, that first issue that's going to hit, that's going to make a wave. Now, that's if you're doing just a single comic book, or you could be doing like a graphic novel, whichever form you're doing it in. It has to be something that hits well. And so with this crossover, just to showcase you guys, with this crossover Dreamcatcher that I'm doing, the first page, you know, here's the art right here. Here's some of the art right here. It's simple. You got this young lady, the protagonist. One of the protagonists is in the story. You see she's flying. You see she's landing. She changes her clothes and she walks out of the alleyway. You know, you should be able to read your stories even without words. You should be able to read your stories even without words. Like this story in particular, I don't want to go too deep into it because I want y'all to go get it, when it come out. So it's basically a tale of the two protagonists from their respective titles, the Body Jumper series and the Jelly Bean Dream series, meeting up and going against a threat that they never faced before. And from that point, either they become friends or they become foes, one of the two. We don't you as the audience, you wonder how these characters are going to meet, how they're going to interact with each other, how their personalities are going to mesh. So that comes with, of course, having your character, knowing who your character is. Like, what type of character are they? Are they the loner type, or are they the friendly type, or are they the heroic type? Always want to save the day. I mean, what is it about this character? Or are they just don't no holds bars type character? Such as a Wolverine. So, what type of personality does your character have, or characters have? Especially if you're doing an ensemble, like a team, like the Fantastic Four, or like the Force, for instance. With the Force, you have several characters on this team. All of them have their own different personalities. All of them have their own motives for being there. With the Force in particular, the Force, the motives of all these characters are pretty much simple in the fact that they have no choice but to be a team. They have to be a team because they've been sanctioned to be a team. The powers that be, those that govern this world, put a team together, and they have to be a part of it. They have to do their job. They have to do their missions. So that is the motivation behind, that task force, aka the Force. With Jelly Bean Dream, her, original motive was just to be living the life of a normal young woman in the city of Atlanta, Georgia, or Decatur to be exact. Shout outs to Decatur. She was just living a normal life, and the next thing you know, her world, just like the Fresh Prince, got turned upside down, and now she's hopping across the galaxies trying to free, certain sections of the galaxy from an oppressive religious force. You know, I know, you have ideas that, of course, seem similar to other ideas, such as, of course, every time you have something that's sci-fi, everybody wants to equate it to Star Wars or Star Trek, but that's something you really can't help. I mean, you live in the world. You live in the world around you, and you're motivated by different aspects of it. Like My Hero Academia, for instance. The creator of My Hero Academia, he is a big Star Wars fan. And if you know his work, if you see his work, if you watch the show and a Star Wars fan yourself, you see the different things that he borrowed from the Star Wars universe. They're subtle, but you see the things that he did. As far as
Oh, I got you. That's a whole little Yoda reference right there. That's like a little Yoda reference right there.
Things of that nature. You have to have your idea. You have to have your story. And for your first issue, you need to go about putting it together. Now, if you're a beginner artist, the first thing you have to do is learn about your layouts. You have to learn about how you're going to tell your story. You have to think about your audience. Not just only your audience, but what type of book you want to read. And that's the main thing. What type of comic book you want to read, you want to create. Like, let me show you guys. Like this first issue right here of The Force, which like I said, was written and created by Corler Manning, drawn by Jimmy King, and this guy down here, he helped, assist with coloring and lettering and editing the book. And I think y'all know who he is because we got the same shirt on. But let's see. For instance, you have this action sequence here, which was crazy because it was so crazy putting all this together. Like I said, I was behind the layout of the book. Like Jimmy, when he was drawing the book, all of his art was basically, he was doing all of his art on big sheets of paper. I'm not for certain of the size. I think they were like A something, because they do sizes different, and depending on which way you get your paper. But he had big sheets of paper, and he was drawing his panels on big sheets of paper by themselves. And so when I got the book, when we got the art for the book, it was everywhere. You feel me? It was everywhere because each drawing was basically its own page, and I had to scale everything down and put everything together so it would become panels on a page. Like this was its own page, this was its own page, this was its own page, this, and this. So I had to put everything together. So I designed the pages and put them together according to the way the script was done. And due to some pieces of art being so big and so extravagant that I didn't want to scale them down too much, that is what caused this book to end up being from like a 20-something page book, and it ended up being a 35 page book. It's a 40 page book overall, but 35 pages of story and art. So as a matter of fact, here we go right here. Here's an example. Here's a picture of Jimmy King working on the page right there. Like there's two panels. Sorry about my thumb, y'all. Cut it yesterday. Want to hear about that story? Watch day 66 of Diabetes and I later on today, or before today, because that video will probably be up on my channel before this one right here, because I gotta edit this anyway. But yeah, so if you see, that's the page that I was just showing you guys. That's two of the panels that ended up being on that page right there. And so You know what I'm saying? And my man Jimmy, he put this book together. He was grinding on it. You know what I'm saying? He was grinding on it, and he does a lot of stuff digitally now. But at this time, he was working on just straight paper. And so, shout outs to Jimmy. He did a great job on issue number 1. And we hope to get issue 2 to you guys very soon. I know it's been 4 years since the first issue. Yes, this book is now 4 years old. But that comes with the whole task of trying to get a book out when you have, real life hitting you in every direction. And that in itself is what you can't let deter you as far as getting your book out. If you are truly trying to be, a comic book creator, you have to have a level of consistency. And, it's only so many ways that you can compete with, such as, the big three, Marvel, DC, and Image, because they have a whole staff behind them. They have a whole production team behind them. They have people who can, advertise the books. They have, people throughout the industry that can say, hey, this is coming out, boom, boom, boom. All they have to do is just produce a book. They don't have to worry about, having the time to do this because 9 to 5 is kicking them. But with that being said, this is the best time to create your comic book. This is the best time to create your comic book because most people now at this point have nothing but time. There's a lot of people that, of course, still on quarantine and should be on quarantine because this thing is not over. This is the perfect time. If you are a comic book creator, this is the greatest time for you to go ahead and get your stuff out. Get your stuff out while you have this precious time to do just that. This is the type of time that we've always wanted and hoped and wished for. And so this is the time to do it. This was just going to be a one shot. But, if you guys would like for this to be an ongoing series, all you got to do is hit me up in the comments. And, let me know if you want this to be an ongoing series. Like I say, I'm not proficient when it comes to explaining things. I'm a doer. I like to do. And so if you want to see me explain a couple more things or just do some things, hit your man up. I also have a Patreon page, so the link for that will be below. As well as, just come through, support your boy, Cash App down there as well. And, of course, get these books. That's what we made them for. We made them for y'all, viewable pleasure. We got Pimp and Strong issue number 1, The Force issue number 1, and the Jelly Bean Dream Anthology. You can get all 3 of these books for only $15 digitally sent to your email via Cash App, Vote 1408. So that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Until the next time, y'all. One love.
Tell them don't waste my time. Tell them don't waste my time. Tell them don't waste my time.